Dr. Phil McGraw had heard thousands of family secrets. 30 years of sitting across from people unraveling the most painful, complicated relationships imaginable. Affairs. Lies. Betrayals that spanned decades. He'd developed what his staff called the poker face, the ability to hear anything without visible shock. To maintain composure when guests revealed things that would make most people gasp. But that day, even Dr. Phil couldn't hide his reaction. The guest's name was Rachel. 42 years old. Professionally dressed. Composed. She'd come on the show ostensibly to talk about family estrangement. Her mother was in the audience, a detail the producers thought would add emotional weight to the segment. Standard Dr. Phil format. Daughter and mother, separated by years of misunderstanding, coming together on national television to heal. Except Rachel hadn't told anyone the whole truth. The interview started normally. Dr. Phil asked about Rachel's childhood. About the moment her parents divorced when she was 8. About growing up with her mother while her father disappeared, literally vanished, from her life. No visits. No phone calls. No birthday cards. Just gone. That must have been devastating for a child, Dr. Phil said, his voice carrying that practiced empathy that came from decades of this work. Growing up without your father. Rachel nodded. It was. For a long time, I blamed myself. Thought maybe if I'd been a better daughter, he would have stayed. The audience murmured sympathetically. Rachel's mother, sitting in the third row, dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. This was the narrative everyone expected. Abandoned child. Absent father. Mother who did her best alone. A story told a million times. Then Dr. Phil asked the question that changed everything. When was the last time you saw your father? Rachel hesitated. Just for a second. But Dr. Phil caught it. 30 years of reading people meant he could spot a lie before it left someone's lips. He could see the calculation happening behind Rachel's eyes. The decision being made in real time. Rachel, he said again, gentler now. When was the last time you saw your father? Rachel looked at her mother in the audience. Then back at Dr. Phil. Then down at her hands. 18 months ago, she said quietly. The studio went silent. Not the usual silence that comes from emotional moments. The confused, sharp silence that comes when information doesn't match expectation. Rachel's mother sat forward in her seat. Dr. Phil set down his note cards. I'm sorry, Dr. Phil said slowly. Did you say 18 months ago? Yes. Rachel, your mother told our producers that your father has been out of your life for 34 years. That you haven't seen him since you were 8 years old. That's what she believes, Rachel said, her voice barely above a whisper. That's what I let her believe. Dr. Phil paused mid-sentence. The studio went completely silent. The cameras were still rolling, but the energy in the room had shifted completely. This wasn't the show they'd planned. The producers in the control room were frantically trying to figure out if they should cut to commercial. But Dr. Phil shook his head slightly, a gesture the audience couldn't see but the crew understood. Keep rolling. Rachel. Dr. Phil said carefully. Are you telling me that you've been in contact with your father without your mother's knowledge? Rachel nodded. A tear slipped down her cheek. I've been seeing him for 5 years. The audience gasped. Rachel's mother stood up. A producer moved to intercept her, but Dr. Phil held up a hand. Hold on, he said, addressing the producer but looking at Rachel's mother. Everyone stay where you are. Let Rachel finish. Rachel was shaking now. The weight of the secret she'd been carrying, the lie she'd been maintaining, all of it pressing down on her in this moment. I didn't plan it, she said. 5 years ago, he found me. Sent me a letter. Said he'd made terrible mistakes. Said he wanted to try to know me again. And I was so angry. So angry at him for leaving. But I was also curious. I wanted answers. Dr. Phil leaned forward. So you met him? Yes. At a coffee shop. Just to talk. Just to hear what he had to say. And it was supposed to be one time. Just closure. But then we met again. And again. And it became this secret relationship. Lunches every few months. Phone calls on my birthday. He met my kids. My husband knows. But my mother. Rachel looked at the audience, at her mother standing there with betrayal written across her face. My mother doesn't know. Didn't know. Until now. Off camera, Dr. Phil made a choice no producer expected. He stood up. Walked to the edge of the stage. Looked directly at Rachel's mother. Ma'am, I know this is shocking. I know you're hurt and confused and probably furious. But I'm going to ask you to sit back down. Because what your daughter just did took more courage than you might realize right now. Rachel's mother was crying. Shaking. But she sat. The audience around her made space, gave her tissues, held the collective breath of 300 people witnessing a family implode on live television. Dr. Phil walked back to his seat. Sat down. Looked at Rachel. Why now? Why tell her now like this? Rachel took a shaky breath. Because I'm tired. I'm so tired of the lying. Of scheduling my life around keeping this secret. Of my kids asking why Grandpa can't come to their birthday parties. Of feeling like I'm betraying everyone no matter what I do. If I see my father, I'm betraying my mother. If I don't, I'm denying my kids a relationship with their grandfather. There's no right answer. So I thought maybe if I just said it out loud, in front of everyone, maybe we could finally deal with it instead of me carrying it alone. Dr. Phil was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something he rarely did. He got up, walked over to Rachel, and sat in the chair next to her. Eye level. No desk between them. Rachel, I want you to listen to me very carefully. What you did, meeting your father in secret, that was your choice to make. You were an adult. You had every right to pursue that relationship. But the secret. The lying to your mother for 5 years, that's where the damage is. Not in seeing your father. In hiding it. Rachel nodded, sobbing now. And your mother. Dr. Phil continued, gesturing to the audience. She's going to feel betrayed. She's going to be angry. She has every right to those feelings. But I'm going to tell you both something. This family has been operating on secrets and abandonment for 34 years. And the only way forward is radical honesty. No more secrets. No more protecting each other from pain by lying. Just truth. Even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. He stood up. Looked at the producers. Bring her down here. Rachel's mother was escorted to the stage. She sat in the chair Dr. Phil had just vacated, about 6 feet from her daughter. The distance between them felt like miles. Dr. Phil positioned himself between them, a mediator in the wreckage. Ma'am, Dr. Phil said gently, I know you're devastated right now. But I need to ask you. Do you understand why Rachel might have kept this from you? Rachel's mother looked at her daughter. Her voice was sharp when she spoke. No. I don't. After everything I did. Raising her alone. Working 2 jobs. Making sure she had everything she needed. And she goes behind my back to see the man who abandoned us. Mom. Rachel started. Let her finish. Dr. Phil said. He left us. Rachel's mother's voice cracked. He left me with an 8-year-old and a mortgage and no explanation. He destroyed our family? And you forgave him? Without even telling me? Rachel was crying harder now. I didn't forgive him, Mom. I needed to understand. I needed to know why. And you couldn't give me those answers. Only he could. So you chose him over me. No. Mom, no. That's why I didn't tell you. Because I knew you'd see it that way. I knew you'd think I was choosing sides. But there are no sides. He's my father. You're my mother. I love you both. And I'm allowed to love you both, even if you hate each other. Dr. Phil held up a hand. Stop. Both of you. Listen to me. This isn't about choosing sides. This is about Rachel trying to piece together her own identity. Trying to understand where she comes from. That's not betrayal. That's human. He looked at Rachel's mother. Your anger is valid. The lying was wrong. But understand this, Rachel didn't keep this secret to hurt you. She kept it to protect you. That doesn't make it right, but it does make it understandable. Then he turned to Rachel. And you? You need to own the damage that secrecy caused. Your mother feels betrayed because you didn't trust her with the truth. That's on you. Not on your father. Not on the situation. On you. The studio was silent again. But this time it wasn't the silence of shock. It was the silence of processing. Of people, both on stage and in the audience, trying to absorb what they were witnessing. Subscribe and leave a comment, because the most powerful part of this story is still ahead. Doctor Phil reached into his jacket pocket. Pulled out a business card. Rachel, your mother, I want you both to see a family therapist. Someone who specializes in betrayal and reconciliation. This isn't something you can fix in one conversation. It's going to take time. Probably a lot of time. But if you both want to salvage this relationship, you're going to need professional help. He handed the card to Rachel, who took it with shaking hands. Then Dr. Phil did something unexpected. He pulled out a second card. Looked at Rachel's mother. And this one is for you. It's a support group for parents dealing with adult children who've made choices they don't agree with. Because whether you like it or not, Rachel is allowed to have a relationship with her father. And you're allowed to feel hurt by that. But you can't control it. All you can control is how you respond. Rachel's mother took the card. Stared at it. Then, finally, looked at her daughter. Did he ask about me? Rachel blinked, surprised by the question. What? Your father. In all these meetings. Did he ever ask about me? Rachel hesitated. Then nodded. Every time. He always asked if you were okay. If you were happy. Rachel's mother laughed bitterly. After 34 years. He asks now. He asked then too, Rachel said quietly. In the letters I never showed you. In the emails I deleted. He always asked? I never told you because I didn't think you'd want to know. Dr. Phil stepped back. Let the two women sit with that information. Let the audience witness it. Let the cameras capture this raw, unscripted moment of a family trying to find its way through decades of pain and secrecy. But what happened next is something no one in the room, or watching at home, saw coming. Rachel reached into her purse. Pulled out a photograph. Handed it to her mother. This was taken 6 months ago. At my daughter's recital. He wanted you to have it. Rachel's mother took the photo with trembling hands. It showed Rachel, her husband, their 2 kids, and an older man, Rachel's father. Everyone was smiling. It looked like a family. It looked normal. It looked like everything Rachel's mother had wanted for 34 years but thought was impossible. He wanted me to have this, Rachel's mother whispered. He said if you ever wanted to talk, he'd be willing. No expectations. No demands. Just a conversation. After all these years. Rachel's mother stared at the photo. Her hands stopped shaking. She looked at her daughter. I'm not ready. I know, Rachel said. And that's okay. I'm not asking you to forgive him. I'm just asking you to forgive me. The two women sat in silence. Then, slowly, Rachel's mother reached across the space between them. Took her daughter's hand. Didn't say anything. Just held on. Dr. Phil stood. This isn't resolution. It's a beginning. The hard work starts now. But you've taken the first step, telling the truth. Share and subscribe. Make sure this story is never forgotten. Rachel and her mother entered therapy together. The relationship with her father remained complicated, but no longer secret. The photograph stayed on Rachel's mother's nightstand, not forgiveness, but acknowledgement that some pain runs too deep for simple answers. NDR. Phil kept that moment. Not as a viral clip. As a reminder that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is tell a truth that breaks everything open. Because only broken things can heal.